We are in County Durham, and specifically we're in East Durham, which was a former colliery coalfield community, and the pits have now long gone. And what that's left is a legacy of deprivation and a lot of negative things, and what we have here is a project that is trying to actually counteract some of those negative things.
That looks good.
What we have here is a men's shed project. It is just that, it's a wooden hut, but it brings together men in areas and gives them a space in which they can talk and interact in ways in which they probably wouldn't be. These people could be isolated in their own lives.
It's nice, comfortable, nice sides, plenty crack.
Well, it's a get-together for the lads, somewhere to go, and we all get together, make a meal and enjoy the crack.
You could bring back the old atmosphere of the miners' halls that we used to have in all the mining villages here. You know, we no longer have miners' halls, but we need places like this for people in the community to meet. 3 on there.
Knocking.
This gives the group an opportunity to do things that it wants to do. If it wants to play cards, if it wants to play darts.
Right, you've got one and all.
We have just over 20 sheds that we've managed to establish. These are 20 groups. We've actually used learning as the catalyst to bring these people together. We've got examples such as stonemasonry. Local history is a particular interest to people.
So what is everybody?
Each men's shed has an identified champion. That champion has had training in things like mental health first aid, suicide prevention training, and these guys are the eyes and ears for the mental health and well-being of their particular group.
The courses that we went on were showing us how we could develop our expertise to help people who have got these problems to get professional advice.
You won a game, buddy?
Yep.
Yeah, he's played before.
When you have people who are mentally disengaged and socially isolated and possibly even lonely, one of the best ways to engage them is learning, because the mental element of learning is two people at least interacting with each other, and the engagement that brings, the re-engagement that brings, we're really lighting fires in people here.
The project is a research project for the WEA in conjunction with the University of Oxford, and there was a researcher there who was very interested to find out the extent to which singing in groups forges closer friendship networks.
We wanted to follow a group of strangers from when they didn't know each other at all over a period of time until hopefully they became friends, and we wanted to see whether singing kind of promoted that activity of friendship making as opposed to other activities.
I'd finished my counselling and I was getting better, but I could feel myself sort of dipping a bit and I wasn't going out anywhere, so I needed an impetus to get myself out of the house.
Before the course I was very depressed and withdrawn. I didn't communicate much with people.
I was nervous and I wasn't fully alert to what was going on.
When I lost my late wife, I was off work, and that's when I stopped singing.
I wanted to do something just for me. I wanted something that was fun, didn't make too many demands on me, and this looked just like the ideal course for me.
The course was, from the very, very beginning, it was completely inclusive. There was no desire to make anybody feel as though they were singled out. There was no criticism.
We're all just the same, we've all just gelled, and everybody talks to each other.
For so many years I've been treated like Jane with behavioural problems, Jane the naughty lady girl, you know, Jane the pain.
The way that Kathy ran the class was very much pointing out everything we did right as a group.
And it's nice to see somebody that sees somebody who's got a lot of potential that I didn't know I had.
Everything was positive, there wasn't any negativity. And so it was really good.
There was an increase in things like laughter, chatting, people just getting on really well.
I've made a lot of new friends, and all the people in the group are like sisters to me. They're all like my family, close family.
One of the warmest, loveliest group of people I have ever had the pleasure to spend time with.
I feel that the welcome that was given to me gained the confidence. It was the warmth and sincerity of the group.
Really supportive and as inclusive as they could possibly be. A lovely, lovely group of people.
People did talk about expanding their social circle and particularly being able to make friends with people that they wouldn't normally have met. So people from very different backgrounds from themselves, which was something that the WA really supports and which we were hoping to find in this research. That was really great.
I think it's phenomenally changed their lives, and I'm hesitating to say it because it just sounds like that, that's what I want to believe. But people have actually said that.
Every week I've just felt better and better and better, and I actually do feel now that I've found myself again and I can be myself again.
If we can understand the specific activities that help bond people together, then we may be able to put those activities into practice in communities to increase community cohesion.
There's something special about being in a group like this. It just works. I don't know what it is, but it works.
I get a lot of goodness from it, positive thinking, feel great when I leave here.
And I haven't got the stress. I was so terribly stressed out before, and I've learnt now that I'm really enjoying my retirement.
I don't think so much about how bad I'm feeling. I put all my problems aside.
I'm much calmer, more fulfilled, have something to look forward to.
After the first day, it all left me, the anxiety.
There's the learning benefits, there's the mental health benefits, there's the community benefits, there's the physical health benefits. It's a hugely successful thing to do, and it's so much fun.
And it will lift your spirits, and as soon as it starts to lift your spirits, your energy levels come back up with it.
I feel now as if I'd like to learn some new songs again.
First time I came to this country, I was 18 years old. My first language is Bengali, and this country language is English, and I'm scared.
Nurul initially engaged with literacy and numeracy because she actually wanted to help her children with their learning.
I'm helping children numeracy, and I feel very proud.
She started learning for her children and then moved on to learning for herself. Idea Store in Tower Hamlets is basically the merger of libraries and lifelong learning.
My English is improved, and I'm studying soul class. English, literacy and numeracy and ICT. A year ago I was less active and had very little confidence in myself because my size is 18.
In 2013 she joined her local primary school's health ambassador project, and in doing that she got engaged into lots of dance and fitness courses, and the aim of the game was really to lose weight.
Norman went through some struggles to actually really get to where she is. Losing weight really is an achievement. So she kept the diet going and the physical exercise, and she used to ask for homework. So we used to get homework from the aerobics instructor and the belly dancing instructor as well.
I lose lots of weight, and this time I feel very confident and looking for a job.
She became a learner volunteer. She helped other people to progress in their language and learning. But in doing that practicing in a classroom setting enables her to actually get a good experience of what it's like to be working.
In 1 year, I lost 10 kilograms and get a job. I got my first job as mobile phone shop, a sales assistant, yeah.
When she got her job, she realized, you know what, the area of weakness I have is IT, which pushed her towards joining an ECDL course, which is what she's working on at this point in time.
And I feel very proud because it's my children feel very proud, you know.
My cerebral palsy affects the right side of the whole of my body.
He was told by the school that, hey Andrew, you've got to accept that you're going to be nothing more than a trolley pusher at somewhere like Tesco's.
As I grew older, I got more determined to sort of prove them wrong and sort of grow a business at some point.
Andy's Cars is a garage, primarily earning its income through repairing motor vehicles, but that money is then fed back into the community through helping youngsters that have challenges.
Right from a young age I sort of had a passion for cars.
We used to see him standing outside the garage, just watching.
Yeah, I was hoping that one day I could have a chance to have a go at that, but I was unsure I'd ever be able to. At the start it was sort of putting tools away for the other mechanics.
That's all anybody thought or expected of him. He had this passion, he had this ability to make things happen. And he went through a full apprenticeship.
College was day release and then 4 days in the workshop.
He went through entry-level motor mechanics, MVQ level 1, 2 and then 3. So that gave him the ability to then go on to become an MOT tester.
When I became an MOT tester, that was my sort of fulfilment in the motor trade.
Becoming an MOT tester meant that he could go anywhere. Unfortunately, with cerebral palsy, it does tend to have a detrimental effect on your body. And with Andy, it's starting to catch up with him. But the beauty of this year has been that he's actually opened his own business.
I'm currently running a professional valet service.
He's gone on and done further courses since he left us.
Just gives me like self-confidence that I can achieve what I wanted to achieve, and not to have a disability sort of ruin your life and not to succeed.
Sometimes it's squidgy, you can squidge it through your fingers, and if you can imagine getting a great big chunk and slapping it down on the bench, and then you've got to work it until you know that there's no air left in it. If you have a big argument with somebody and you go in the garage and start throwing clay around, it's like mud pies for adults. Mum had a brain tumour. She was left with Parkinson's disease and she got epilepsy through it. Often she was having seizures. One time I'd showered her, put her curlers in her hair, sat her in a chair and she said, "You go home, I'll be fine." And in the morning I just thought I'd just check, and I rang her and there was no reply, and I got frightened and I found my mum on the floor and she'd been there all night. It was terrible. The time I was spending with my parents was expanding and the time I was doing with everything else was shrinking, and I found I was isolating myself from a social life of my own. The pottery class absolutely rescued me, because otherwise I would have had some kind of a breakdown. I made up my mind I was going to be doing something for me. I walked in thinking, I hope I can do this. I was a bit nervous about it, but everybody's in the same boat. Even if I didn't feel that confident, I looked it. I was a bit hard-faced about it because I didn't want anybody to make me look a fool, which they didn't. It was lovely. You start with a sausage length of clay and end up with something really nice. When I once made a mistake with a glazing process and I took the pot to the teacher at night school, and when I took it out of the bag and put it on the table, everybody went, "Wow, how have you done that?" You want to run around the street showing your mates. It really is lovely.
I started drinking before I was 14. By kind of early 20s I was drinking every day, and it just escalated in volume and quantities to the point where it almost killed me twice. I was a working alcoholic. I worked almost up until I went into the Burton Addiction Centre.
They get therapy, they learn independent living skills, and basically we give them their lives back.
It was terrifically difficult. Because I found out that I didn't know myself.
Burton Addiction Centre have now opened Langan's Tea Rooms, which is there to help recovering alcoholics get back into work.
It gives people that opportunity to say, actually, I can be a productive member of society.
It gets people back into that working environment, mixing with people. We're all in recovery, which really helps because we all help each other out, because it is quite tough.
This place has helped me fall back into place. From May the 24th, 2011, I have been clean, fortunately.
Nick started volunteering in the kitchen, loved making cakes and that element of it, and sort of excelled and progressed doing that, so he was taken on as staff.
He just has a knack and a way of making those cakes. They're special.
He's just brilliant, you know, so we need to invest in people, so we started doing an MVQ.
We decided to help him along to start a brand new qualification called Excellence and Performance in the Workplace.
I can't stop wanting to learn. I feel like a sponge at the moment, pardon the pun.
The examiners said that they were so impressed with his portfolio, they would use it as an exemplar to the rest of the country. Nicholas has catered for the Conservative Party conference.
And it's all through actually being in recovery and working here. There are crossroads sometimes and I just take the right one. And for that I'm very grateful.
I've done exercises for a long time, but not yoga. And I find that this is much more beneficial than the ordinary things that I used to do.
It's really, really simple stuff. But if you've not done it before, you know, you say to them, sit up, how are you sitting in your chair? It's not just sitting in the chair, how are you sitting in the chair? Okay, I can sit up nice and straight, you know. And while you're sitting there, don't forget to move your ankles every so often, and it's made such a lot of difference.
I've had a lot of clients that have been really keen, and you know, it's produced a great sort of partnership with the Oxfordshire Skills and Learning Centre, and the clients have really benefited. It's helped with their independence and their well-being. It's been a wonderful success, actually.
Well, I was in a wheelchair about 2 years ago. I solely relied because I didn't have the strength and really the will to go out without it. And coming here, it is a strength to me. It's weaned me off the wheelchair. I still use it occasionally, but not half as much as I used to. And it has improved my life tremendously. I can go out on my own, whereas before I relied on my wife to take me out. I can venture it on my own and I really enjoy it.
My mum gave me a chemistry set when I was 6. I was too young to use it, but I could still look at all the chemicals and look at all the glassware. And it just started from there, really. I was absolutely besotted by it. I've got a condition called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I suffer with chronic pain. It affects my mobility, affects me being able to go out and do things, and it impacted on my learning, being able to come into school. I missed 1 year of primary school and 2 years of secondary school. And because of that, I was told that I wasn't smart enough to carry on with my courses. I managed to get a home tutor from my local borough. I sort of managed to get my GCSEs from there, all A's and B's. Both my primary and secondary school told me that pure science wasn't for girls. When I went and did my A-levels, the students weren't aware of my health condition, and when they were, they used that to taunt me. It got to the point where one of my maths lecturers said, I don't know why you're here, you're not going to pass your courses. I came home to my mum in floods of tears. We decided that I'd leave my current school. I'd go on and spend 2 years doing maths A-level and the last 2 years doing science A-levels at a different college, which turned out to be Bromley College.
Amy studied A-level biology, chemistry and physics.
I became a student ambassador, I was on the student council. Any way I could help, for the way they've helped me.
She always used to just read around the subject. She was very knowledgeable about science, and she even started her own chemistry blog for the Royal Society of Chemistry.
Part of my blog is to discourage the idea that women can't go into science, but that's why I set up my educational charity. I do like going to schools and speaking to young girls and actually saying to them, look, science isn't just for boys.
Amy got 2 A's and a B in her A-levels.
I'm at the University of Greenwich and I'm studying a master's degree in chemistry. One of my lecturers offered me a post, possibly as a PhD, to go and research back into the condition that I have. I didn't think that I'd be able to do anything more than just be on disability and living at home and being bedbound, to be honest. It's very important for me to keep learning. I don't think I'd ever stop really. It's literally taken over my life.
Before I started the course, I was in my lowest point of life. I could not work, I could not study. I'd just be lying in bed, the voices in my head at times tells me that maybe people want to kill me or people are following me. I had never experienced anything like that in my life. When you are in that sort of position, it breaks your relationship with people. I wanted to go out and do something in order for me to get myself busy. I met a friend who told me about South Camden Community Learning Center, where they were about to start a basic web designing course. With web design, you have to be very creative. I was able to design a website and people gave me the feedback that it was very good. And that's where I had a wow within myself that yes, I've been able to do something. I've been able to accomplish something. I never dreamt of becoming a web designer. It's a huge step for me. Jillian was very supportive, explained everything to us from scratch. Nobody was left out. I was able to also support other students within the course. Community course is important because it takes you out of your isolation. It gives you that confidence. It builds your self-esteem. It gives you hope for the future. It's been a tough journey. It's not over. Even though certain things happen in the past, you can still achieve something.
Alex is my youngest son. He'd not had the motorbike long and he had an accident on it. He never woke up. And I started to sort of not be interested. And I wanted to go with him.
Anne had had a lot of troubles. The death of her son, various things that had sort of tripped her up. And she had, as a result of which, she'd retreated from the world.
I'm stuck in this room and I can't get out. I'll be crying in a minute. I can feel the panic attack approaching fast. Oh, I can hardly swallow.
Her sister saw the creative writing class and worked on Anne to enrol. And it was a way of getting her out again.
Apart from going to church and taking the dog out, I never went anywhere.
She was editing the church magazine.
All I did in it was copy and pasting stuff, trying to fill it up because it was 12 pages. And now and then a poem would come to me. It usually came to me on the toilet.
She's very funny. That is the big thing about Anne. She can write a very humorous story.
And then I saw the creative writing and I thought that's something I'd really like to do. And I made myself come out of the house for that enrolment day.
The first term that Anne came, we just did normal creative writing.
When I was first writing, I was writing all my unhappiness, but she ended up making me want to write about, other things.
My team leader suggested that we should do the OCN level 1 in creative writing.
Beforehand, I sort of needed to get out, but she made me want to come out.
I think she found some parts rather difficult, but she fulfilled every unit that you were supposed to do.
While I'm in these lessons, I'm very brave. When I go home, I'm back to being me, the new me.
It's pretty tough out there. I was working as a photographer. With the digital revolution, lots of magazines started closing. Practically every single one of the magazines I worked for doesn't exist now. There is a really good local community adult learning set up in Peckham. I saw a picture framing course. I remember walking in and being very impressed by all the machinery they had. I thought, wow, I wish I'd had this opportunity at school. It was great. What we did do, we learned about different types of wood. We had to go to the wood yard and buy them ourselves. So I did a small basic frame. It's made out of tulip wood. It's a great little frame. And then I went from a little one to a really big frame. It's basically the same thing but bigger. What was good about the tutors, they'll come and ask you, where do you want to take this? And I felt a bit sheepish and said, well, I'd like to make more and sell them. And they were like, great, you can do that. That's perfect. They show the confidence in you, which helps a lot. The first friend I told about this, he said, these are great, I'd love you to make one for me. He really liked the frame and ordered 3 more. So I'm actually just finishing off one for him now. I had the thought that I'd like to make more than just the picture frames. I would like to make furniture also. You can only get so far on your own unless you're super talented, so I thought, oh, I wonder if I could go full-time to university. Let's see about that. I applied and I got on. When I got accepted on the degree course, I was surprised, a little shocked, because that's actually happening now. It's for real. It's not just a pipe dream. It's going to be quite a big life change for me. I think the local community learning is vital because times have changed and people are having to do more than one thing. And that's what's happened with me. It gives me another option. I think a lot of people need that. It just gives them more chances in life.
Before Ryan was born, I was working as a chef. At 3 days old, he had to have an operation and discovered he had cystic fibrosis. It's a full thing to take on when you're expecting to be taking him home, putting him in a nice little cot. You have to live with operations, hospital visits, home visits, nurses, physiotherapy. Work is secondary. Throughout a week of just taking the kids to school, coming back, paying some bills, cooking the tea, getting the kids to bed. You didn't know what time of day it was. So mundane. And then as you bump into other people and they're all saying, oh, what do you do for a living? I ain't seen you since we left school. Well, I had some kids and that's it really. Well, what are you up to? Oh, I crashed my third make the other day, and you're thinking, oh, right, I know where the power is in this relationship now and I'm at the bottom again. These community courses just sort of came along and I thought, I can do paint and drawing, that might be good. Walking into the classroom, I thought, I think I'm in the wrong place here. I've sort of taught myself cartoon characters and all these people are doing all this still life with bowls of fruit. But then once I gingerly showed them my work, the group of people said, this is really good. And then coming out of there after the first session, thinking that was great. It really was a turnaround. Now when you see people, it's like, what you're up to? Oh, I'm just finished that course, I'm doing that course. It's a knock-on effect for the kids because we're doing all kinds of activities. People come up and say, I've seen that work, it's really good. would you be able to do this for me? I've done a couple of primary schools, libraries, playgroups. These places, when I still see them, I thought I'd maybe paint it over and by now. But for them to still think, no, we're keeping that's artwork, we're leaving it, that's quite a compliment to me. 10 years ago, I've said, oh, you got a job interview. I'm like, oh, what have I done? Please give me a job. Why? What have you got that bloke hasn't got? Well, I'm a quick learner. You're just spooling off quotes. But to have the confidence from doing these courses and getting certificates, to walk into a job interview tomorrow and say, this is what I've been doing, these are my qualifications, these are my skills, I do feel positive. I've got something about me now.